Week 6, we've got quarterbacks, tight ends, and DST, yes, defensive unit bonuses. So before Sunday, let's get these updated rankings for Week 6 of the 2024 NFL season. Welcome Ian in Fantasy Football, where I combine industry-leading data, Vegas sportsbooks, and expert analysis to provide you with optimal weekly rankings for the utmost accuracy when setting your weekly lineups in your fantasy football league. I'm writing this on Thursday night for Friday's video. Expect more videos every week for the other unit groupings, like wide receiver and running back. Click the playlist in the top right for all the updated rankings for Week 6. We begin with quarterbacks for Week 6, full PPR. This week has the most discrepancy between tiers on the season. Pay close attention to the totals and the separation between tiers. It's a bigger gap than normal. For the S tier, sportsbooks have these quarterbacks projected to go over 280 total yards. They are Lamar Jackson, 286 yards versus Washington. Jaden Daniels at 286 yards versus Baltimore on the other side of the ball. 51-point total for these two facing off in the must-watch game of the week. Dickie Dak Prescott at 280 passing yards versus Detroit in the highest total of the week at 52 scoring points. And Jalen Hurts at 277 total. We're going to include him here. They're nearly 10-point favorites. Easily the most lopsided matchup of the week. Vegas tells us these top 4 guys are in the best position to go over 280 yards with their arms and legs in excellent matchups with high scoring totals. In a full PPR fantasy football format, they are your undisputed S tier for Week 6. Once again, big gaps this week. We got 4 in the 270 to 280s and only 2 in the next tier for 260 passing yards. Joe Burrow at 262 passing is his line versus the Giants. Joey B has averaged 275 yards per game and 2.5 passing touchdowns per game. And somehow they are 1-4. In real life and fantasy, though, Burrow is doing everything he can to win, and it doesn't matter because he's getting them points. The league average Giants pass defense this week, huge point total at 48. Lock him in. Jordan Love at 6. We want favorites with huge scoring totals. And the Packers deliver. Jordan Love is set for 260 passing yards. The total is at 47. They are 6-point favorites. He's averaged 291 yards per game, with Arizona just below league average against the pass at 18th overall. Good position for Love. Gannon's a good coach, but don't be scared. And for the B tier, we have the rest of the elite quarterbacks that have the next highest projections in the 250 total yard range. Kyler Murray at 253 total yards. Opposite of Love this week, Green Bay is 23rd in terms of passing yards allowed, and Kyler has averaged 195 passing and 49 rushing yards per game, so 244 total. Rest assured, all 5 quarterbacks who have faced the Packers this season win over, including AR-15 and Will Levis. You have no worries about Kyler this week. Brock Purdy at 253 passing is his line for the week. Purdy has averaged 274 yards per game. He's yet to finish a game with less than 230 passing yards. And though Skylar Thompson, Brissett, and Bo Nix struggled to go over against the Seahawks, experienced quarterbacks Goff and Jones had no problem putting up over 250 yards. Lock him in. CJ Stroud at 250 passing yards. Stroud has put up 277 passing yards per game, well over 300 in his last 2 games. And even though Nico Collins, RIP, is on IR, he faces the 25th worst secondary, the New England Patriots. What's more, they're obviously favorites at 7 points. This isn't even going to be a game. He's going to do great. Caleb Williams at 257 total for Caleb. This is his highest line yet. He has a great projection. He faces the worst secondary in the league, the Jaguars. 32nd. They're the worst. However, he's only thrown for 218 yards per game, but you throw another 23 rushing yards on top of that for just over 240 total yards per game. This is his best shot to exceed expectations and hit the over. Kirk Cousins at 11. 254 passing yards is Kirk Cousins' line for week 6. I'd say there's no way he goes for 500 yards again, but he gets the Carolina Panthers this week. They are not as bad as everyone thinks. They are 22nd against the pass, and curiously enough, only one quarterback managed to go over 250 yards all season against them. Burrow was held to 230 yards, so there's mixed feelings right now. Kirk's at 274 passing yards per game, but if you exclude his last week's freakish performance, no diddy, he's only managed 260 passing yards per game. So, flip a coin. And for the next quarterback, ErvinandM.com. ErvinandM.com is my company my best friend and I started in 2020. We literally make everything ourselves by hand. We have earrings, rings, necklaces, bracelets, tie clips, apparel, and more. Over a dozen curated gemstones and 100 handcrafted products. If you need a gift or something special for yourself, use the promo code in the description, find something you love, and buy it today. Now back to the video. Support me, support you. Shop something from my store. At me down below, and I'll get you an exclusive discount code before you check out. Josh Allen at 12. 246 passing yards. We mentioned it in the wide receiver video. Josh is 22nd amongst all quarterbacks passing for the season, and worse, only 79 completions. Make the comparison once again. Geno Smith has 143 completions this season. Make matters worse, he has to face the second best secondary, the New York Jets. My bad. Not a single quarterback through week 5 has hit their over against the New York Jets Rodgers. Not good. No bueno. Jared Goff is next. 246 passing yards. Jared Goff comes in at 13. Goffrey has put up 253 passing yards per game, in spite of no other team even coming close to pounding the rock like they do. Goff put up nearly 300 yards against Seattle's secondary. That's currently 7th compared to Dallas, who they face now, at 11. They are away from home, though. Goff is 50-50 for his over-unders. I think he should be fine, but we're getting close to the not-so-comfortable tier. Geno Smith at 14. 252 total for Geno. Everyone clap for Geno Smith. He remains your passing leader for 2024, even with KW3 in the backfield. He's managed 293 yards per game, and in terms of fantasy, made Metcalf, JSN, and Lockett all viable. San Fran is 12th against the pass. 3 out of 5 quarterbacks went over this season against them. Make it 4 out of 6 after this week with Geno Smith. From here, you have concerns. I have concerns. We're only at 15. In my opinion, this is your last chance for production at the quarterback position. Sportsbooks have these quarterbacks going for 230 to 220 yards. So another drop-off here. At 15, Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, 236 total yards. He's averaged 230 passing yards this season. He gets the 26th worst New Orleans secondary this week. He has the best chance to crush his over and finish in the B tier or better. Every quarterback named not Bryce Young went over against the Saints this season. Justin Fields at 16. 220 total yards for Fields. He's averaged 226 total yards per game. So 192 passing, 34 rushing. Raiders are league average against the pass. Every quarterback not named Deshaun Watson and Justin Herbert threw for 200 yards or more against Vegas. So you should be fine as well. Daniel Jones, 220-yard line. Jones has thrown for 227 yards per game, so he should be okay to hit his line. He should be fine against the 19th worst Bengals. It's a huge scoring total at 48, and the Giants are only under by 3 points. Could be good. Could also be bad. Andy Dalton at 18. 227 yards is his line for week 6. Chicago held Dalton to 135 passing yards. Falcons are nearly just as scary as the Bears, as they boast the 6th best pass defense, and Atlanta has the 9th best. Not far off. Make things worse, only one quarterback this season managed more than 217 yards against ATL. The other 4 were less. Total is good at 46, but Carolina are 6-point underdogs. Not good. Not good. Trevor Lawrence at 19. 233 passing for Trevor. Apply what I just said about Chicago to the $275 million man here, Trevor Lawrence. The Bears are no joke. Stafford managed 224 passing and Stroud 260 passing in week 2. The other 3 quarterbacks were held to 160 yards or less. Trevor's averaged 220 per game. I take the lower than 233 passing yards this week, though, if I was a betting man. Aaron Rodgers at 20. 225 passing is his line. Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. Has a nice little ring to it, doesn't it? Sounds like an experimental West Coast pop band or something, doesn't it? Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. King Rodgers has averaged 218 yards per game. The Bills are league average against the pass, and yet only one quarterback has went over against them, while Lamar Jackson, T-Law, Tua, and Kyler were all held to 178 yards or less. Take the lower if I was a betting man. And we're at the cliff. It's RIP from here. It drops to 200, another huge gap. We're not even going to talk about any of these guys. If you have anyone in this tier that you're starting, talk to me down in the comments. Deshaun Watson, Mayo Boy, Anthony Richardson / Joe Flacco, Justin Herbert, Bo Nix, and anybody else you want to throw in here. Go ahead and throw that back in there, you know what I'm saying? Watson, he's terrible. Will Levis, absolutely terrible. Joe Flacco, Anthony Richardson, they get Tennessee, who is the number 1 secondary in the league. Herbert gets the number 5 secondary, and Bo Nix gets the 10th best secondary. It's all bad. All bad. Very bad. That's your top quarterbacks. Let's do the tight ends. We have 4 S-tier tight ends this week. They are George Kittle, Trey McBride, Brock Bowers, and Jake Ferguson. These top 4 tight ends are all projected to be in the best position by Vegas sportsbooks to go over 50 yards receiving. That is the highest amount for week 6. They are your elite S-tier tight ends. Lock them in. The next tier is for the rest of the tight end ones, projected for about 40 receiving yards. Any of these guys could finish top 5. They have lower floors than the guys above. There's only 3. Tucker Kraft, the people's champion, the waiver wire champ. Round of applause for Tucker Kraft, everyone. Go ahead, give it up. Round of applause for Tucker Kraft. Let's hear it. The best tight end with a cheese-related name on a cheese-related team. 44 yards per game for Tucker Kraft. 39 over and under versus Arizona. Lock him in. Lock him in. What a guy. Sam Laporta at 6. 41 over under. The Lions scheme is a bit different this year, and Sam is on the losing end of that change. 36 yards per game for Laporta on the season, which isn't bad considering all the other tight ends. His line is nice, but 4 out of 5 tight ends struggled to get their 20 yards and only managed more than 40 once. He has the talent, but this is his last week to show out before he drops into the B tier. Dalton Kincaid, 39 over under. We're only at 7, and we already have concerns for 6 and for Kincaid here. It just continues. It's not good. Kincaid has averaged 33 yards per game with only 3 receptions per game. Copy paste what I said about Allen from above. This is scary. 3 out of 5 tight ends couldn't get more than 20 yards against the Jets. I'm worried. You should be worried. Nothing but worry from here. B tier. These tight ends are the last viable options, and it's 8 through 15 for this one. 30 yards for these boys, starting off with Dallas Goedert. 36 over under for Dallas. 75 yards per game. But why is he in the B tier then? This ranking make no sense. I'm glad you asked. 50% of his games, he's had 34 yards each. The other 50%, 116 yards. So that was without Brown, and I think even Smith at one point. They're back. He's talented. Expect his line and nothing more. We need to see the scheme coming off of their bye. Guessing game. Cole Kmet at 9, 31 over under, 44 yards per game, including 1 game of 4 and 1 game of 97. So not that bad. To boot, he gets the Jaguars this week, and though Josh Hines-Allen's is scary across the middle, Kmet has played pretty well this season. About as optimistic as we get. Freiermuth at 10, 29 over under for the Muth, 35 receiving yards per game. Even his 2 bad games were only 22 and 27 yards respectively. Every tight end has went over facing the Raiders. He should be fine for his 29 yards. Tyler Conklin, 6 yards, 10 yards, 93 yards, 17 yards, and 55. I don't know what you want from me. He's at 11. His line's fine at 33. He's third in line for the ball behind Wilson and Lazard. 60% of the tight ends go under against the Buffalo Bills. Conklin's went under 60% of his contests for the season. So we'll rate him 4 out of 10 garbage cans this week. Wish I had an editor to throw in all the memes. Sadly, I'm too busy to do that all the time. Just imagine some clip art, Oscar the Grouch style cans on the screen. 4 out of 10. Cade Otton at 12. 34 receiving line for Otton. 29 receiving yards per game, but nearly 48 receiving yards per game in weeks 3, 4, and 5. A lot better. A lot better. He should be okay against the Saints, though I'd expect him to only get his 30 yards, and that's probably about it. We need more data, but lots of inconsistency. Speaking of inconsistency, Kyle Pitts at 13. His line is set at 32 versus the Panthers. Will he get 20 yards? Will he get 80 yards? There's a 40% chance he gets 73 yards, and a 60% chance he gets 15 yards. To further mix your feelings, the Panthers have allowed 5 out of 5 tight ends to go over 28 yards or more. So, flip a coin. Dalton Schultz at 14. 30 over under. He's only managed 16 receiving yards in weeks 1 and 2 and 3, but 34 receiving yards in weeks 4 and 5. With Nico gone, we don't know how the offense is going to change. I expect Diggs and Dell to benefit. Not really Schultz, but you never know. 3 tight ends managed over 45 yards against the Pats, while 2 were held to just 18. Let me clear it up for you. He averages less than 3 receptions per game. So, you're not excited. And Likely. Isaiah Likely at 15. 22 over under. We've made it to the biggest hoodwink of the season, not named Anthony Richardson. 26 yards. 4, 26 again, and 13 yards in his last 3 games. Last 4 games. To make matters worse, 4 out of 5 tight ends were held to 14 yards or less facing Washington. And welcome to the cliff. These guys are projected 20 receiving yards. More uncertainty. Theo Johnson. I know that's not Theo Johnson. I don't have a picture of Theo Johnson. It doesn't really matter. It's worth mentioning. He did look good in the one game. That was without Malik Neighbors, and he's back. He was irrelevant before that. You know, should Dayball keep him a mainstay? Yeah, but that remains to be seen. Evan Ingram, 17. Who knows? Who cares? Only Ingram drafters, unfortunately. We don't have any data, except for the only 2 tight ends that have managed to go over 30 yards against the Bears, while the other 3 were held to less than 20. So, strange. Ingram, I don't know. It sucks either way. Zach Ertz. I want to be optimistic for Ertz, and I would be if his last 2 games weren't 22 yards and 10 yards apiece. His first 3 weeks were great. He averaged just over 40 yards per game. The Ravens have allowed every tight end to go over their receiving lines. I mean, this is a great place for him, but if he can't get over 25 yards, he's in big danger of dropping off the rankings. Mark Andrews at 19. 25 over under. 14 yards, 51 yards, 0 yards, 0 yards, 55 yards. Yeah, 0 yards twice. Flip a coin to make it worse. 4 out of 5 tight ends couldn't get home versus the Commanders. I don't know what you want me to say. Mike Gesicki on your sticky, on your icky. 18 yards, 91 yards, 47 yards, -9, and 31 through 5 contests. The good news is the Giants have allowed every tight end to go over, but in my opinion, it's still a point flip. We'll give him 51 to 49. Hunter Henry. Same story for Henry. Patriots offense is terrible. To make it worse than Andrews and Gesicki's situation, Texans have stopped 4 out of 5 tight ends this season as well. Not good. And Noah Fant at 22. 22 receiving line, fittingly enough. Same goes for Fant. 24 yards, 26 yards, 60 yards, 14 yards, 11 yards, week to week. Niners have allowed 40% of tight ends to go over. He's probably okay for his 20 yards, but I don't know what that's doing for you. And from here, these tight ends, it's RIP. They're basically unstartable. Anyone not on the ranking right now, throw them into this bottom tier and ask me down in the comments if you want the bad news. Chicken Conquo, Jonnu Smith, any and all of these guys, it doesn't matter. Everybody goes here. It's a war zone, I know. All right, let's throw up the DST rankings on the screen now for all the sickos out there. I'll put your quarterbacks and tight ends back on screen as well. I may add kickers next week if you're into that sort of thing. And I sincerely hope this helps everyone watching. Thank you for your time. And if you want to support the channel so I can keep making videos like these, subscribe and turn on post notifications so you can see all the videos each week before submitting your lineups. It's free. It's a good value. If you want to support me, check out my store at www.ervinandm.com. I have 2 passions, fantasy football and small business. We're a 2-man show at E&M. We take pride in the quality and craftsmanship of our products. There's no better way to support me than buying a gift or something special for yourself. Everything is handcrafted from limited stock by us. Me and my partner, with our own hands, we make everything. Ship anywhere in the US. Don't forget the promo code in the description. Thanks again if you're still with me. That's the video. Watch some more videos.